This is Golden Years, a roadmap to navigate retirement with Mark Cordner, the podcast.
You know, despite all the volatility, tech stocks, they continue to lead the market to record highs. Researcher David Rosenberg tells CNBC that he sees this as actually a pretty big problem.
I think that the stock market is not just overvalued, but I've been saying for a while that it's in a classic price bubble. And it's been that way for well over a year. And these can last between 1 and 2 years. So yes, we're in a bubble. The bubble continues to inflate. It's just important for people to know what zone of the investment environment that they're putting money in.
All right, well, bubbles can pop, right? We've talked about this. What goes up must come down. That's the same analogy there. You've already told us that carrying too much market risk can, when you're in your 60s, that close to retirement finish line there, it can backfire badly if there's a slump. But for somebody who's maybe 10, 15 years from retirement, do they still have time to recover from a potential downfall, or do they need to kind of invest more conservatively as well?
Well, I think 10 to 15 years out, we should still be more growth-minded, but there is a natural phenomena that occurs in human behavior as we get older, and that is a desire to start preserving what we've accumulated. And it's not only scientifically wise, from a financial science standpoint, not only is it wise to start preserving our savings, at least a portion of it, but it's just a natural desire that people have. And so I would say it's not a one-time milestone. You hit a certain age and suddenly you got to shift all your portfolio. But progressively over time, that is what people want to do, and it's what they should be doing, because really it's about timing, and that is the timing of these bad events. When the market bubble crashes, for example, I think back to 2008 when, hundreds of my clients were destroyed because they were self-employed, they were in mortgage, construction, real estate industry, and we had that great credit crisis and the downturn in the construction industry. People started to have to raid their accounts at the same time that the market dropped, and that had devastating impacts long-term on the portfolio, but they had to do it because they needed groceries. And so those who had positioned themselves with some money out of the market that was principal protected had safe money places to go, safe pockets into which they could reach, and thereby buy time so that their market-based investments could recover before they reached into those accounts. So I've always been a big advocate of this two-pocket strategy, especially as we approach the 5 to 10 years before retirement. We've got to start preserving a portion of the portfolio, and I agree with this gentleman. I'm not going to disagree with the idea that the market's overvalued now. I think corrections are coming. Definitely they're normal in the market, and so people always need to think this way. But if you haven't thought this way, if you've just been chasing returns the way most Americans have, I'd say come visit with us sooner than later, because principal protection, safety, this two-pocket strategy, whatever we want to call it, this idea of safeguarding our money because we're not going to have time to recover it, needs to be a priority as we prepare for retirement. It's all about the timing of the bad event and how much time we have to recover. So time and timing are the issues.
Listen, I was going to say we're talking about a full circle moment here. We talked about time and how time is going faster and how much time we have at the end of the day. Now, this is about timing the market, right? Giving yourself that protection, that safety. And it all begins with making sure you understand how you're positioned. I think part of that is just doing a risk analysis, because 9 times out of 10, folks sit down with you and they go, Mark, you know what? We are so conservative. I don't even know how we're making money. And then all of a sudden you run the numbers and you go, actually, no, you got all your chips on the table, guys. This risk analysis we'll do complimentary for you. That's the first step to find out exactly where you are, and if things go south, do you have time to make it up? Again, that risk analysis, 702-996-4050, 702-996-4050. Again, that website, mygoldenyearsroadmap.com. Michael Jackson, he may be gone, but he's still making big money. I say big with a capital B. In fact, his name tops Forbes' latest list of the world's highest paid deceased celebrities with $102 million in pre-tax earnings. And since his passing, his estate has amassed more than $3.5 billion. And, of course, most of that wealth comes from royalties. I mean, he's the king of pop for a reason, right? We may not have those hit songs and all the royalties and assets like he has that's creating all this income, but there's got to be some sort of version of royalties that we can use for our retirement, Mark.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, really what we're getting at is passive income, and certainly Social Security is that. By passive, what I mean is basically we're not actively working towards it. It's money that's coming in. It's kind of mailbox money is what we used to call it, but it's money that automatically hits the bank account every month, and that can be in the form of rental property income. It can be Social Security. It can be pensions. It very commonly is annuities, these income contracts that guarantee income you can't outlive. Everyone needs to have that in their portfolio because we can't always work, and so there's got to be passive income. That's a key part of retirement planning. And if people don't have that or they're not sure how to structure it, come visit with us. That's what we specialize in, is creating income you can't outlive, because that's critically important when we can't work anymore.
And you talk about income that you can't outlive. I know a lot of folks think, well, Social Security, that's got to be there. And we're going to get to that in just a few moments about Social Security. But then also a lot of folks, if you're lucky enough to have a pension, congratulations. Those are very few and far between. But you're counting on that pension to kind of support you a little bit, right, to fill in those gaps. But if you don't have a pension, right, and we also know we can't just rely on Social Security, are there other tools in your toolbox that can literally create that mailbox money for us?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, a big part of our practice is these income contracts, commonly known as annuities. But income contracts basically create a contractual guarantee that a person will have income coming to them as long as they're breathing. And we can stretch it out over a spouse's lifetime as well. It doesn't just have to be one person. It can be a married couple's lifetime. And so it looks and behaves exactly like a employer-based pension. It's only a private-based pension. It's an alternative. And yes, that's something that it's a big, big part of our practice, because it's all about income in retirement and all about guaranteeing that it continues regardless of our health. We can't always go back to work, so we've got to have that. And again, if that's a new idea for people, come visit with us. It's not a new idea for us. It's very routine, and it's usually incredibly attractive. Particularly we find this with single people, or certainly widow or widowers who have never dealt with the money. Creating that kind of assurance is important. It's a key part of my personal plan. I literally just within the last few weeks bought my second annuity this year. I've got, I think, 6 or 7 now. But I bought a second one this year because there was some extra lazy money that just needed to be put to work. And I want to guarantee that when I'm dead and gone, my wife doesn't have to think twice about money. It will hit the mailbox. It'll hit the bank account every month. And that's incredibly important. It creates incredible peace of mind, confidence in retirement.
Exactly. Yeah, having that peace of mind in retirement is what it's all about, and that guaranteed income, it really helps with that notion, because you have that money coming in every single month. It's very, very similar to a paycheck. A lot of people say, Mark, how are you going to replace my paycheck? And most likely this conversation comes up of guaranteed income, mailbox money. If you'd like to have this conversation about how guaranteed income can fit into your income plan, your retirement plan, give us a call today. We'll do this guaranteed income plan review for you. 702-996-4050, 702-996-4050. You brought up, of course, Social Security here being one of those things that a lot of people, rely on as guaranteed income, quote, in their retirement. But the deadline on Social Security, the trust fund, is running out in 7 years, bringing the prospect of an across-the-board 23% cut in benefits. It was good to see Congress starting to at least, talk about some solutions here. There's a new bill called Keep Billionaires Out of Social Security, and it uses the idea of means testing. If you're asking yourself, what is that? Well, it excludes the ultra-wealthy from receiving benefits. And on average, how much does Social Security make up of your client's income and their income plan? And could these cutbacks sink retirement plans? We're talking 23%, right?
Yeah, that can be a major cut. That can really devastate some people. With the middle-income Americans that we work with, I purposely don't try to work with the wealthy. I try to work with the people that everyone else is ignoring. We find that 30 to 80% of their income is coming from Social Security. And so Social Security planning is a key part of the planning. And yes, the thought of a 23% reduction terrifies some people. I'm a little bit less concerned about that happening. I'm very concerned about Social Security, but I think that eventually Congress will do the right thing. I think they'll do it kicking and screaming in the final hours, just like they did back in 1983.
Everything.
Well, yeah, but we actually have historical precedent for this. This exact same scenario happened in 1983. I remember this, having lived through it, and I therefore have confidence that they will do the right thing, but only when forced to do so. They're obviously so much of politics now is performance art. It has nothing to do with actual legislation or the kind of planning that morally should be happening. But yes, I think we'll get there, and Social Security is a key part of planning for people. And so if you don't know what your Social Security benefits are going to be and how that's going to integrate with your other assets, come visit with us. We do Social Security analysis for free for people all the time. We've got some incredible software that helps people understand what their options are. There are literally hundreds of different ways you can claim Social Security. And so each person needs to make an individualized decision, and we can run the numbers for them so they can make an informed decision. Come visit with us. We'll do it for you.
And when you say run the numbers, you mean like a Social Security analysis, right? Because everybody's
exactly
situation's different. Social Security's different. They don't make it easy. There's a million different choices. And by the way, correct me if I'm wrong here, Mark, when you go to the Social Security office and you pick up a couple forms or whatever you're doing, you're thinking, I'll be able to ask this person how they can help me. The people at that office cannot give you advice like Mark can. The people at the office are here to say, here's this form, fill it out, but they cannot advise you on what to do.
That's correct. They can tell you what your immediate benefit is, but they can't tell you the advantages of delaying or how that fully integrates with a spouse's benefit. There's just a number of things that they're not allowed to address. And so that's exactly why we do that kind of analysis for people, because there's a financial answer that may be ideal, and then there's a practical answer which may be ideal for other reasons. And so we've got to look at both the financial considerations and the practical real-world considerations, and then let people make their own informed decision. So.
Absolutely. And it all begins again with the Social Security analysis. We'll do that complimentary for you calling in today. Give us a call, 702-996-4050. Again, don't leave this to chance, 702-996-4050. You know, Mark, someone wrote into an advice column at MarketWatch.com explaining that they had received a legal settlement of $300,000. He then asked, well, here's my plan. What do you think? This is what he laid out here. He said, I'm going to park it someplace temporarily to get some interest. I'm going to consider a Roth IRA. I'm going to be patient. No need to go all in with the money on anything. And then this is a big one. Pay off your credit card or high interest debt. And last but not least, consider a brokerage account with a trusted financial advisor. Mark, what are your thoughts? What would you add or take away from his plan here?
No, I think those are all valid considerations. You know, I'd love to see people get windfalls, whether it's from an inheritance or from a legal settlement. This is very common for us to see with our clients. And I always say, take a little bit off and just go do something fun. Celebrate the moment, but a little bit, emphasis on a little bit.
Yeah.
Because if there's debt, certainly we want to clear the debt off the table, get that out of the way. And we got to look at the other considerations. And there's a great opportunity for tax advantage planning. That may be the Roth IRA, like this gentleman is suggesting, but there's Roth 401ks and other tax-free products, vehicles we can use to help people secure their future. And so I always say, especially with the unexpected windfalls, let's take that unique opportunity and actually secure your future. Let's not leave it to chance. Let's not leave it in a bank account where it's going to be tempting just to kind of fritter it away on Lord knows what, the jet ski, whatever unexpected thing that suddenly grabs your attention, because human nature is such that there's a lot of shiny objects we're going to chase after when there's money there. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people blow through inheritances very quickly. It's just like the lottery. The studies say within 18 months, most people have blown these windfalls. And
wow.
That's absolutely been my experience watching human nature, but it's also been my experience that those people who come to us, literally last week I was with someone in this situation who just inherited some money, and we showed her how to turn it into a tax-free growth vehicle for her family in the future that will really improve their estate and also give them some health care benefits. So, yeah, these are great opportunities. Legal settlements, windfalls, whatever it is, come visit with us if you're in those situations, because we can show you really how to secure your dreams and not lose the opportunity that's been given you. Yeah, so this is just scratching the surface, because there's so many different directions people could go. So if someone's in this kind of situation, if you're anticipating a windfall, be it inheritance or whatever, come visit with us. We'll do a windfall analysis for you. Call it what you will, but a windfall analysis, and help you make sure that your long-term goals are secured during this unique blessing that's come into your life.
I was just going to say, yeah, a windfall is something that you should consider a blessing in most cases. So let's make sure you don't blow it, so to speak. Let's make sure that you're using it to the best of your ability. This is something that Mark can help you really design and customize, quite frankly, with your situation, with your wants, your needs, your desires. And again, if you'd like to do this windfall review, give a call today. Again, that phone number, 702-996-4050, 702-996-4050. 50. Real quick, Mark, I know that we get calls all the time. People have been listening to us for a very, very long time. Some people call and they go, hey, I just heard of you. What is your quick elevator pitch of why folks should come sit down with you? What different tools, strategies, ideas are you going to give them versus the big guy down the road?
Well, we take a fundamentally different approach. I mean, most so-called financial advisors are really better known as wealth managers, and their whole goal is about getting you the greatest rate of return possible. And certainly a good return is important, but what we focus on are three distinct things. One is creating income people can't outlive. The second is making that income as tax advantaged as possible, preferably tax-free. And third, making sure that that income is protected from a variety of things, but most especially healthcare-related risk. So we're incredibly intentional with every dollar. We believe every dollar should have a purpose, and that it's not just thrown into some kind of an account just to grow for whatever may come in the future. We're incredibly intentional, and we have a threefold mission there. And for middle-income Americans who are not ultra-wealthy, who need to secure their future and have confidence, that's where we excel. We're exceptionally good at that.
Investment advisory services offered through Golden Years Financial LLC, a registered investment advisory firm. Insurance is offered through Golden Years Insurance Services. These firms do not provide legal or tax advice. Consult your own legal and tax advisors before taking actions that may have tax implications. Investing in securities involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Insurance contracts principal protection is based on the claim-paying ability of the respective insurer. None of the information contained on this website shall constitute an offer to sell or solicit to buy a security or insurance product. The information and opinions contained on this site or requested from this site are provided by third parties believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. They are provided for informational purposes only and are not a solicitation to buy or sell any of the products mentioned. Any media logos and or trademarks contained herein are the property of their respective owners, and no endorsement by those owners of Mark Cordner, Golden Years Financial, or Golden Years Insurance is stated or implied.